And good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight on Randomania the 2, whatever you'd like to
That's right.
call it, to nickname the 2. But hope everybody's having a wonderful Monday evening, as we're excited for a little more free enterprise racing tonight. How you doing tonight, Swimmy?
I am feeling awesome. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. When isn't it a good night when you can enjoy some Randomizer?
Right? Mondays and Fridays are just the week's highlight, right?
Yes. So we have a set of flags tonight. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on. First of all, we have the C3 flag, so there can be only one per slot, that is.
That's right. Our runners are only going to find 5 characters. Whoever they get, that's what they get. They have to deal with it. And they're going to run into a lot of duplicates.
Not too many duplicates, though, because this is actually no free lunch 1, so areas they can get people will actually be restricted.
Yeah, and that's that one can make things a lot more interesting. It adds a bit of spice.
We also have Japanese items enabled tonight, not the skills, but the items that we didn't get in the USA, but they had in the Japanese version.
Yeah, and this one is really huge for this race because it's also going to be S4, which means that they're going to be able to buy a whole lot of items for free in shops, including apples, which increase your HP, and lightning bolts, level 3 magic using items, which do HP-based damage, among many other very broken items.
Yeah, they will have. They can buy things to the extent that they have money, but when you talk about things being available with S4, that's up to and including adamant armor. Thank you so much, Natara, for bringing some folks over to enjoy the race tonight. Hope everybody is having a wonderful evening. The last part we haven't talked about with these flags tonight, K2, so more than just the original key item spots in play.
Yeah, and this is what can really make or break a run on these flags, because these flags are a little more forgiving than others in some areas, and if people can see the restream, it looks like we have a Fusoya start, and that also makes things a little bit easier. But luck of the draw with him too, the variance is a lot higher. K2.
So in addition to those normal K1 spots, we add the summoned monsters, and we add the boss battles on the moon. A few more locations that those key items you need to find tonight. You gotta have 3 things to beat you gotta have the crystal, you gotta have a path to Zeramos, and you gotta have enough strength to actually beat it.
Right. Fusoya for the start here. It looks like we have the F2 flag on, is that right?
I'm sorry, what's that?
The F2 flag is on.
Yes, Fusoya challenge 2, so he will get spells as our party defeats bosses. That may lead to some interesting routing where you go hunt some easy ones.
Right, so it's very easy it's very common for people to skip beginning bosses. This incentivizes it a little bit more. The N1 flag does as well, because that means one potential key item might be hidden behind Mist Dragon. So it looks like we have started. It's Fusoya, Palom, and the Darkness Crystal to begin with.
That is a whale of a start. I would be a little less excited about the double black mage on the C3 seed. However, starting with that Darkness Crystal is so fantastic. They get access, of course, to the moon, which is their path to Zeramos. They don't have to find the pass now. You've got access to the bosses up on the moon. Good luck beating any of them, but you got access to them.
Right.
It also enables the potential for leveling up against the D machine, which is one of the predominant grind for experience locations in the game.
Right, so with J items on, it looks like Edge is in the very end.
That's
So that'll make things a lot easier when people pick that character up. I was going to say with J items on, you can find sirens, which you can use to find several different grind fights. But having Fusoya or Tella also opens up a very not necessarily easy, but reliable if you're used to it grind, and it's very fast grind as well.
So we will have the ability to find apples. Treasures are going to be a little more restrictive than the shops will be. You'll have better stuff for sale than you'll find in treasures, generally speaking, but that can vary, of course. We saw Edge in one place there, but it's always important to know when you're playing C3, they can be in multiple places. The early pickup for Podart enables this trip to the moon, which of course is one of the character spots. Who do you think we're going to find here?
Oh, I mean, we're playing C3, so it has to be either Edward Teller or a duplicate, right?
Find out soon, but a quick stop to see Hummingway's cave.
No
pillow forts on display, but a potential good items for sale.
Moon Veils, Bahamut, and Sura.
Those are some pretty good things to have for sale.
Yes, they are. Bahamut is very costly, but Ifridia is one of the characters that allows you to tear through the early game very easily. Moon Veils are extremely broken if you can afford a stack of them. There are many bosses exclusively use physical attacks, and Moon Veils make you immune to this.
On the moon, it is Fu at his vanilla location, so we didn't need that.
As I said.
First look at the spells. Looks like he's got the level 1 elementals. So we talked about this beforehand. Maybe you come take out the early bosses, and there's Dark Knight Cecil. So this should be very easy in N1.
Right. Which spot was this? Was this Mist Dragon?
Yes, this is the Mist Dragon location.
Yeah, so Dark Knight Cecil's wave attack is based on his maximum HP. The Mist Dragon has something like 400 HP. It's, I think, the lowest HP boss spot. So yeah, this is trivial. Even poor Talon with only 100 HP can tank it.
And because this is N1, we have the vanilla win condition, so we just have to sit through 3 of those. Got life 1 for Fu is a nice pickup, even if it's not a damage spell.
Yeah, always nice to have the ability to revive. Of course, you can also always run around the entire world looking for life potions, but it's nice to not have to do that.
Black belts and crystal rings for sale. That's some pretty sweet stuff in Mysidia.
Yeah, when you're playing S4 that don't have glitches on or free items, it can be really frustrating sometimes because you might find nothing in treasure chests worth selling, and you might immediately find crystal rings, adamant armors, moon veils, all the wonderful items.
Lots of stuff you wish you could have, but you just can't afford it yet. Glitches are off tonight, so they can't do the infinite item for money glitch.
Right. However, C3 flags can be a little more profitable than other flags. Once you know which characters you have that you're stuck with, you're free to sell the unique equipment for characters you know you're not going to get. And it can be very common to find things like the Crystal Sword, which sells for, I think, 65,000? Something high like that. And lots of other weapons that are similar.
Well, these dealers are giving Flurry the business here, and that's probably going to be reset worthy.
Yeah, that double breath. Breath is a party-wide attack that everyone who gets hit by it is basically doomed. It can be reflected, and you can turn the D-Wingers into frogs, but I guess Flurry hasn't gone to the moon yet, so didn't have the chance to buy those moon veils, which also cast Reflect.
Yes, do have elixirs for sale, but they're so expensive you're unlikely to buy very many. You can find moon veils for free though, those are always helpful. One hanging out in the Antlion Cave. So we still have just the 2 party members right now. The other location they could go to would be Hobbs.
Right. No one has done that yet, which is interesting. If, for example, Edge is on Hobbs, then you can very easily take out that fight. Almost whatever's there, Edge can kill easily. And then you can use Edge to make these beginning power-up fights with Fusoya a little faster. But you know, there are trade-offs to that too. If it's someone you don't want, or if it's another duplicate, you've gone and just wasted some time. Or with this party, if it's someone who's not very strong, you might not be able to beat the boss yet.
Yeah, that's why I think it's pretty common we'll see runners go for a couple of the easier bosses if they're able to do it. That's why Flurry was checking the waterfall spot, because it's 3 more spells for Fu, and even if those 3 spells don't directly help you, they move you along that much faster into getting something that will.
Right. And you might get lucky, so Fu learns 3 spells with each boss. They are strongly weighted for the stronger to come later, so Quake, Nuke, White, things like that will usually come much later. But it's still very common to right away get Ice 3, or one of those level 3 elemental spells. And those are strong. They are enough to take out almost any early game boss in one hit.
So, one of our early game bosses tonight turns out to be Vivalis. How about that one?
Yeah, so you don't want to see Vivalis with the party. Vivalis goes into this tornado form, and in most boss spots is almost completely immune to magic. With the mage party, Chokasura is kind of forced to bop Val with a staff, which Fusoya's starting stats are pretty good, and his starting staff is pretty good, so that's going to be a winning strategy here, but it's tedious.
We are going to see a lot of good equipment for sale. In particular, what you want to watch for in shops in T4 is going to be stuff like crystal rings. We've seen those, adamant armor, ribbons, white spear not so much, but knowing we have edge, at least we know we can throw it if we don't have game.
Right, it also sells for quite a bit.
But also, this is the B1 flag, so we knew in advance that this could not be our underground access.
Right, so there are a few bosses that this flag thankfully prevents from blocking underground. They can still block the crystal. You can't block underground access, and those are Vivalis, Wyvern, and Golbez. All of these bosses can be excruciatingly difficult, depending on your party.
Chokasura finds out where Asura is hanging out, and that is at the top of Mount Hobbs. And we are going to have to do the Baron Inn fight with 2 characters, looks like.
Yep, unless there's a Sand Ruby or package at Ordeas or Fabul.
So a little bit of exploration for treasure going on for Chokasura. Flurry's about to find a duplicate character. Scratch Dragon and Boy are working on getting to the Vivalis Antlion location. We still have access to Fabul and whatever boss may be guarding that item. through the Baron Inn, where we know Edge is hanging out, but we don't know in particular what the second boss is, or how difficult that would be. Knowing Asura's out of the way is pretty nice, though. And,
It is. And Asura's in a fairly low HP spot here. Flurry already has Lightning 3. Like I said, you might get those elemental spell early. Takes Asura out in one hit. And is going to get 3 more spells for Fusoya. And a bit of experience, too. So I think that was a good play. Most other people are resetting out.
And also handy is that they had the Mute Dagger, which does bonus damage against Asura for being a mage. So that was an available option.
Right.
Obviously, not necessary with that lit 3. Pretty sweet.
No. Definitely not. So yeah, it turned out that Flurry's reward for being Asura was Ice 3 was actually the only good spell I saw in there. If you already have Lightning 3, that's not super great, but if you run into Rubicante at a difficult spot, then it's amazing. Rubicante
got Ice 3 as well, so that's helpful against a lot of bosses.
Yeah, Rubicante at the Mylan Z spot can be especially mean, because the magic power there is for some reason fairly high, even though Mylan Z doesn't have any magic attacks.
Well, that's why it didn't matter.
Asura is taking us to Fabul.
I like what Poi is doing here in checking the shops, even if you can't afford things. Maybe you find out where those Excaliburs are, which they throw very nicely. And there's our adamants for sale.
Yeah.
Now, C3, I think on average, you'd be lucky at the end of a C to be able to afford 1 or 2 of those. Whatnot. It's certainly within reach. It's certainly possible that you're going to be able to afford at least one of those by the end of the game. In fact, Boy is trying to get one right now. Trying to get the money there, just a little short.
It's a tall order.
That is a lot of money to need. Soma drops Silk 3s, Cure 3s, Lives, and Gold. Those are Silver Apples, actually. So they'll only raise your HP by 50 HP. Not very efficient if you're trying to get it.
No. They can be very helpful if you're stuck with Rudyite Rapport. But otherwise, I'd personally be more likely to sell those if you pick them up.
One of the things about the way this seed is played out is we still have a lot of questions. And one question answered is what's at Fabul? That will be the Baron Key for Chakasora. Nice little pickup. It leads to another character and another key item. Oh, and the T-Mist. Where is this at? Was that Fabul? Yes, it was. Okay, so we've got quick access to that and another key item location.
So that's always exciting. The D-Mist hunt is not going to be a big roadblock this time around. And it seems to be fairly common. It's probably just confirmation bias that D-Mist is very frequently holding something very valuable.
I think that's relative to the difficulty it is to find it. The more difficult it is to find it, the more likely it is to have something.
Right.
Then I will be lucky if it's like the diamond ring or something.
It's like Chokesura's going for Edge.
We've got those big elemental spells, so Lugi is obviously not going to be our problem, although it'll be a two-way fight for sure. But the element 3s should just take care of that pretty quick.
Yeah, it's an annoying fight a bit because of the 2 stages, but yeah, it's trivial really in this spot.
Big question is always, what is this second boss? It's not Lugi, doesn't count for that, but there'll be another boss after this.
I wish.
Chad asks, who is on Hobbs? It was a duplicate Quake Kid. So
Yep.
we are stuck with just the two until we clear out the Baron Inn.
The Baron Guard spot has, I think, 400 HP. So
And that's divided among the three of them, so you're talking about a very low amount of HP in those spots. And hi, Bahamut, how you doing?
all right, so Bahamut, of course, does a countdown until casting Mega Nuke. There's no way these characters can survive Mega Nuke, but thankfully, that Lightning Fury is more than strong enough to beat it in one hit.
Yeah, that was plenty. And a few more spells picked up, as well as Edge and the Hook. So we have our access to the subworld, access to another character.
This is what the fans love to see. Hook seeds are hard seeds, or they're harder.
When you have that bottleneck at the Rubicon spot, you never know what you're facing.
Right. Having Fusoya definitely helps. The Baron Castle spot actually is 2 more bosses, so it's pretty easy to power Fusoya up even more before trying to take on the Hook. Of course, some people might want to dive in there and get that extra character. Tower Key from Rydia's mother.
That's not going to be a bad thing to have at all when you go to the subworld. It might make you a little more inclined to go there. Chad asks about the free lunch flag. It is no free lunch, so we've got to work for our characters and items.
Right. If free lunch were on, it would be pretty extraordinary to only have 2 party members at this point, because everyone at Mysidia and the Watery Pass and so on would have to be duplicates, or the character, or the players just not check them, of course. Jokasura is fighting that Hook.
A lot of interesting things with our flags as they stand out. Ninja Sword is going to be a nice addition to the arsenal. It's an upgrade from the long swords.
Yeah, and I think it's +5 strength. Ninja Sword is a very good find. 2 Ninja Swords on Edge is, like, that's in-game equipment. That rivals his best weapons.
So everybody going to work through the fight to get Edge now. Certainly, it's our easiest spot to pick up another character. The big question is, does Chakasora continue on after picking up the character here, or do you go back for the Baron Inn fights? We know Cat Claws are for sale here, we know Ribbons and Zeus Gauntlets are for sale here. A lot of utility spread out throughout the world.
Indeed. Chokasura is probably going to make that decision about whether to continue going based on who the boss is that we see picking on whoever is in the Edge spot. You know, murdering them so we can revive them.
Everybody working through the Lugi fight other than Chakasura. Chakasura already cleared that out, got the hook, following it to wherever it leads. There is a trapped treasure chest here. This 2 Staleman fight could be interesting with this party, though.
Right, they're weak to ice. Fusoya should not have any trouble killing them in 1 hit, but they can put Fusoya to sleep.
You can also hit low levels pretty hard. They're doing respectable damage to Edge, but it looks like he's doing fine.
Yeah, and Palom down. So that's
I'd really
unfortunate.
like to have Palom up for this to get close to learning Quake, though.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons to take on that battle. Flurry is going the Baron path, on the other hand.
I like it. Yeah, taking a different path. That's the kind of thing that gives you a chance in these, was when you're doing something other people are not.
Yeah, indeed. It's probably the easier of the paths.
The duplication continues, and Chakasura says, "That just takes it out of here. Thank you very much."
And better yet, Rubicante is Kainatsu. Kainatsu is one of the worst fights easily to find that spot. It is horrible. For those who aren't aware, Kainatsu very regularly does a party-wide attack that is based on Kainatsu's current HP, 5% plus or minus 15%. And the Rubicante spot has 25,000, something like that?
Yeah, 25,000.
So wave hits hard in that spot. You can stop wave from happening by hitting Rubicante with lightning, Kainatsu in the Rubicante spot with lightning at the right time, but also the Rubicante spot is very fast and the timing is very tricky.
We've got the Baron Guards here in the Bygone spot. They are mages and can be very annoying, and sometimes they can be very easy. But thankfully a lower HP spot than they could be in, and we're going to move past them. Got weak there, which is a very nice pickup for Foo.
Oh, very. That opens up the machine grind right now. Of course, most people would not want to do it before they have 10 key items, but might give you an edge.
But we already have that. She was at the very end.
Point taken.
I had to say it. All right, let's see who's impersonating the king today.
Octomam.
Insert whatever joke you feel appropriate here. But the Octomam will slow down the more we hit it, and doesn't like lightning too much.
Yeah, this is a very easy spot for Octomam. This is the vanilla Kainatsu spot. Kainatsu is basically all magic. He does have a physical attack, but it's terrible. And Octomam does nothing but physicals.
And Lit 3 is more than enough to handle the job.
Even Tella can kill Octomam in one hit with Lit 3 here.
So this is going to give us Virus as well. Not Quake, but it's a nice AoE spell. I think we just got Meteor, if I read that right.
No,
Speaking of Tella.
Speaking of Tella.
Caster's Curse emote if you have it, folks. You invoked his name.
C3, as we all know.
So this is going to be a mage-heavy final party battle. If you practice your different strats, hopefully you're up on your reflex strats, because that looks like it's going to be the way to go tonight.
Yeah, indeed. Unless they find a really heavy hitter, it would have to be Kane or Cecil. Then reflex strats are probably going to be dominant in terms of speed.
Oh, we got the pass.
Okay.
Pass
That's handy.
turns out the Baron Castle item. We still have the Odin spot that can be checked. Is that where Chakasora is? Because I don't remember Evil Wall anywhere else.
Did Chokasura go up?
No, this is too slow. It can't be. This is somewhere else.
Mount Ordeals, I'm guessing?
That would make sense.
And that play makes sense.
Yeah.
That's 3 boss spots for Fusoya.
Also a key item spot, and our runners don't know this yet, or at least not all of them do, but that'll unlock all of Fusoya's spells. Not Fusoya, Tella. Which is very important when you have Tella.
Yes, as he is nigh useless without these spells.
Still has exit, thank you, sir. Exit, life 1.
Hey, I'm a Tella defender. He's MVP in Cataseeds.
Well, we've got Paledim hanging out in Odin's throne room.
That can be... So, Scratch has the Moon Veiled. Absolutely can beat this fight right now, because Paledim just does physicals. unless you cast Summons, in which case it casts Quake. But the elemental spells are not going to work on it.
Do we have
They
Bacchus
all
wine?
heal it.
I don't think we do. A couple things potentially we can dart. Meteo should work. Also, I don't think Soya has virus. Forum had virus though. Oh, hi, Wyvern. Bye, Wyvern. Best kind of Wyvern.
So there was a Mirazanam's Top of Ordeals. That's unfortunate. It's not a key item, and of Edge's two supposedly best weapons, it's not actually even that good because it lowers agility. So it can actually be lower attack than a ninja sword sometimes.
That will unlock Tella's spells, as you said, so will make Tella a little more valuable, especially on the white magic side. Cure 4 doesn't care about his magic power when it's just cast on one person anyways.
Is Chokasura the only person who knows about Kainatsu Ruby?
I think that's correct. I don't think anybody else has gone that path yet.
So Chokasura probably wants to get every spell off he possibly can, in hopes of finding Nuke, because if you can nuke Kainatsu before that first wave, it makes it much more survivable. Nuke goes off very quickly, so yeah.
Who's our Sand Ruby character? That's Edward!
C3, everybody. So
about those reflect strats.
Our only attacker here is Edge. Now, granted, they can easily get ninja swords for Edge, which is great. But yeah, Berserker strats on Aromas are going to be much less effective if you have only one attacker.
Yeah, it's a lot harder when you just have the one. You could take him up to level 60 or so and just really get a ton of damage and get through it that way. But I would really only recommend that if you are, well, if you aren't comfortable with reflect strats, then nothing better than practice. But
yeah, I would say
if you didn't know what else to do, you could do that.
If you have two characters, you can do reflect strats. I'd say that's definitely the way to go here. Hallam and Fusoya, they can.
The other thing, though, is you can make an archer out of Edward, and very high likelihood we're going to see good arrows for sale, preferably the old Artemis arrows.
Yeah, it almost requires an Artemis bow to manage very high levels. Samurai bow, they're pretty good on some other characters, but with Edward, not quite enough, in my experience.
Looks like we're starting to get Quake on Boo now. Boy, in particular, got that. So those D-Lunars should be very defeatable now. Quake would probably one-shot him. Meteo absolutely would, without question. Meteo would be nuke it from outer space level.
Yeah, exactly.
That being because Meteo's holy damage and they're weak to holy, so that would absolutely not matter. Hi, Wyvern. I didn't see what Wyvern's skill was. This is Y2, so he'll do something random. Oh, it's Meteo! How about that?
Oh gosh, that's great.
We replaced your regularly scheduled nuke to the face with Meteo falling on your head.
Rocks on your head. The flag, when you select the W2 flag on the website, it replaces Wyvern's opening Mega Nuke with a random ability. And the website specifically says something like, usually this is better than Mega Nuke. Usually. It's possible for Wyvern to open with Big Bang, Meteo, lots of things that will hurt you.
So, by the way, we picked up the Earth Crystal on Scratch Dragon's side for beating the Odin spot, which means we can... Well, it's 2 more character spots, but probably just more than that, it's the item.
It's 2 more character spots, a lot of treasure chests, and 2 more boss spots for... So I think I haven't counted it exactly, but I think possible to head down to the underground to say it's fully packed. Let's see. Let's do it.
Yeah, though I don't think we've seen anybody go back to the D-Lunars.
Where were D-Lunars again?
They were taking a shower today. Waterfall.
Yes. It would certainly be beatable by, I think, everyone. If they wanted to.
You mentioned earlier about our ability to sell equipment once we know what our party is. So, one of the things about this composition is we get to get rid of a lot of the heavy armor because no one can use it, but that tends to be a lot of the most expensive equipment. So,
it does.
Some benefit there.
The Dragoon equipment, all of Cecil's crystal equipment, it's all completely useless aside from money. It's particular. Or with this particular party setup.
Well, there's our sirens and coffins, so if you want levels without getting them from the D machine, you've got options now.
Right. At this point, tough call here, especially Chokasura, knowing that Kainat's blocking away. You can check Odin, which is what Scratch Dragon did. And you can go to the moon and hope that maybe some of the easier bosses are up there. And that, you know, that might be easier than Kainatsu or Kante.
I think if we're not at the point, we are close to the point of being able to handle that fight pretty well. The biggest question to me is if Palom is going to be able to live through the big wave, because if you've got that to do the Lit 2, then you've got Ice 3 with Fusoya, and that's probably doing half of King Zama's life.
Yeah.
Close to it between those two.
The fight's beatable. It's honestly been beatable for quite a while. It's tricky.
It's a question of efficiency and what's worth your time. It's
Exactly.
also the great routing divergence question, because if Crystal's on the moon, then the entire subworld is moot. You don't need it.
Right. Especially since all your levels are right there on the moon too, so going underground would just be a gigantic waste of time. Going to the moon could be a gigantic waste of time. We'll find out.
Chokasura has those sirens. It has hourglasses as well. That's also potentially the reuse here, which would give you plenty of levels to finish off the moon.
And if the crystal does happen to be up here, let's see, how many items?
There's a lot of reluctance, and it's understandable to do a grind fight before you're in go mode. The thought process being you don't know how many levels you need. On the other hand, there's 5 more fingers, but if you get something like 20 levels that enable you to beat a lot of bosses faster, there's value in that as well.
Absolutely. And you don't have to do your grind all at once. If you're doing D machines, you do have to do your grind all at once. It's very inefficient to do otherwise. But if you can go down here, kill a couple of King Ryus, try the bosses, kill some more, however you want to do it.
That's an interesting path for Chokasura, not checking the top boss first, so I think that is heading to the reuse, although you can actually get to them faster from Bahamut's cave.
Could be going for the ribbon chest boss spot where the D-looters are in vanilla, because that's 2 potential key item locations and 100,000 experience.
It's also the save point right there, so you could backtrack to a lot of bosses really quickly. Always interesting to try and get into a runner's head.
Mm-hmm. There are so many options to these players right now. It's
Hello, Odin.
wide
Have a
open.
light 3, why don't you? Have a light.
Yeah, so this spot has around 9,000 HP, I believe. But
This is the
Odin
Magnet
is,
Sisters.
Odin is extremely weak to lightning, so fire.
Yeah, for a spot designed for Tella to be your primary mage, having the Soya with Lit 3, it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
The Scratch is able to get Quake, so... Quake's one of the useful spells for clearing out a lot of stuff.
There are many bosses in this game where Quake will just destroy them instantly. And for those that it doesn't, Meteor will frequently destroy them instantly. Although
Well,
Meteor
Flurry-
has a very long cast time.
Flurry just found the duplicate character. Scratch is going to be the first one with the option of a full party.
Which, meh.
So what's just happened on Chakasura's side is the King Ryu's, you can stop them with an hourglass. Once you do that, Fusoya's weak takes them down to single-digit HP. One whack of any weapon and you kill them, and then you throw a life potion on top of it, and it's as if you killed 3 of them instead of just 2. So 50% more experience from one of the best experience random encounters in the game.
Right, so if done correctly, this will yield 90,000 experience for these fights. Just a lot. If you have 10 key items, then there's 180,000, which is a whole lot. It's possible to get your characters very strong very quickly this way.
It'll be Plague hanging out in place of Ovalis. So we still got the flying theme going.
Kane, jump! Wait, no.
Had Edward down, so able to do the revive strats, but it was a little slow. The ideal is have Plague recast count, but it doesn't matter. Only Tella will miss out on the experience.
And Tella does not get a whole lot better as he levels anyway. In fact, some of his stats decrease.
A little more HP though. That's not bad. Flurry's kept the Mad Ogres. Used the hourglasses to stop them. That's one of the ways you can beat them. They're mages, so any kind of mute element, they're vulnerable to that. Size is also a wonderful, wonderful thing you can use on them. You turn them mini and they don't hit very hard anymore.
Right, and they also get hit very hard.
Was that the magma key?
I'm afraid I missed.
I think it was the magma key from the Earth Crystal. Hopefully we'll get some confirmation. Chat says it was. Okay.
If indeed the crystal is underground, blocked by something in the underground, Scratch Dragon has a pretty decent advantage here.
Chakasura has left the runes. That's very fascinating. I
He
gotta
is
think, Pat,
probably
we're gonna
going
see.
after Ruby.
Yeah, looks like it.
Just
a routing divergence because Chakasura doesn't have the Earth Crystal, so there's not another option right now. Well, there is, but there isn't.
Right. Aside from the bosses. Chokasura, since he was just going down for a level the same, actually kind of unfortunate since he could have gone to Cave Bahamut you mentioned earlier. But I guess he didn't want to try the new bosses just yet. The party is still pretty squishy.
To the wrong boss, but also if you've got Moon Veils, it'll let you sneak past a bunch of those bosses.
Right. course, I have no idea what was going on. The Chocosaur was planning.
Yeah, I think Chocosaur was just thinking, don't do the full setup and grind of, say, the D machines, but get enough experience to wreak some havoc down here. And CPU is something you're definitely going to want to wreak havoc against.
Yeah.
Meteor and Quake are nice. They'll both bypass this wall, but Meteor does more damage, which is kind of important.
Yes. The CPU, after you kill 2 orbs, will use a single target magic spell that's basically guaranteed to instantly when it hits. And it uses it twice, then revives them. So if you cast Quake, you're probably not going to kill CPU in this spot. CPU has 5,000. You can tell by how much Remedy heals. Meteo is going to kill CPU in this spot.
There you go. And that's why it's handy to have Meteor around.
Mr. Beacon Chat asks, where did Scratch get that Earth Crystal? It was actually from the Odin boss spot.
Yeah, used the Moonveil successfully there and got through that fight. It's a higher level encounter spot, so it's not one you necessarily think of immediately.
Right.
And that was the Sand Ruby, so we're not going to need that in this seed, but it does move you that much closer to 10 key items. There's the gold apples, and more importantly, perhaps, the Bacchus wines, so we're able to use Berserk now.
Right. Bacchus wines instantly cast Berserk on whichever character uses it. Berserk is broken. It is the highest DPS spell in the game by far. So you can, with several bosses, Edge can use a Moonveil, then use a Bacchus wine, which will pierce the Reflect, and then the boss doesn't use many magic attacks, then you have won that fight.
Here's a first look at the Kingzano location. Meanwhile, Scratch Dragon checking out, taking out around in the Summon Monsters spots. That looks to be the dolls, and I already saw the
Hypo Guards.
Bear Knights.
The Baron Guards were in Baron, so this has to be the Kypo Guard.
The Kidia Nappers? I thought they'd be red.
The two secondary guard. So it shows up in spots where you can see them. The other two show up.
Scratch Dragon's gonna go for it. Mikio probably would have done the job here, actually.
Yeah, 2 Quakes will do the job too, and this spot can be cheesed with Hourglass. I didn't see if Scratch used one.
Use the Hourglasses so the back 3 are stopped.
Yeah, so the gimmick with the Calbrana fight is once you kill all of a certain color, if any remaining one of the other color gets a turn, then it will turn into a giant doll that hits really hard. But since the back dolls have the boss bit, you can just stop them, kill the ones in the front, and the ones in the back while they sit there and do nothing.
Leviathan Summon is just not going to do anything for us, but
it's
who
10K.
does have more spells at least. And yep, those were the Kidia Nappers. They are human characters, so you can do certain things to them you can't do to other ones, like the coffins. The stone spell is also in play.
Right, and the one officer is worth significantly more experience than any creatures, so Scratch Dragon immediately instant kills it with a coffin. Life glitches for that bonus experience.
Yeah, so that one's worth half the experience of the fight, so again, it's like you already got a 50% bonus on this. for this trick to work, if it's new to you, you have to have one enemy alive for it to work, and you have to cast or use the life potion before the enemy is actually gone, or you can't target them.
Right, and just the reason the glitch works, enemies don't have a vitality stat. When you are revived, it is based on your vitality. So they revive with 0 HP, and you die again, you get double the experience. The pan.
Life
from
2
Cellular
nuke
Immunity.
and the pan, that is a lot of value from that fight.
So Scratch Dragon now has made it underground before. Has beaten more boss spots. Pan. Scratch Dragon is kind of pretty here.
This is kind of a dream scenario in you're able to touch all these spots before anybody else is. By going here and whacking Yang with the pan, that is going to be worth 3 item checks. There'll be an immediate one from the Sliffs. They'll hand us something. Then we can go talk to Yang's wife for 2 more.
Right, and as we know, Sheila has the goods. Chokasura is still wiping to Kainatsu here, despite that leveling session, which I'm sure is very frustrating.
I didn't get a good look at what that was.
It was Bahamut, so
okay.
Not...
Sells for good money, though.
Yes, it does.
Put us that much closer to an adamant armor. That's the other big thing. I haven't seen our runner's money situation, but if you had enough for an adamant armor, this fight would just be free.
You have to sell some pretty high value items to get.
Our runners was up to 470k from selling stuff off earlier. I'm not sure where anyone's at the moment.
Yeah, it's getting pretty close. Gosh, now I'm just really curious what it's 6 boss spots, 7 potential items. 1 is guarding 2 treasure chests.
The rat tail will be item 1. The package will be item 2. So you can chase the bait that is the rat tail, see what the item is there. You could hold on to it in case of pink tail to turn in for another adamant armor.
Right. Of course, the rat tail might itself be guarding the pink tail, which is really funny if that ever happened. The mini person hands you the pink tail and immediately takes it back from you.
He's been searching everywhere for that. It looks like Scratch has gotten to 10 key items.
Yeah, Scratch.
Great value as well.
Machine Grind, go to the moon. Has that tower key, you could check Tower Exotics. Still check Dwarf Castle, like, what is his oyster right now?
So what we have right now is Scratch Dragon completed the Odin spot after going to the Baron Key, and only one other runner even did the Baron Key. But that led to the Odin fight location. Scratch Dragon used Moon Veils to get past it. That yielded the Earth Crystal. The Earth Crystal yielded the Magma Key, which is let Scratch Dragon skip this Gainzano fight that is tripping up everybody else at the moment. And the Ring Sword.
Drain Spear emote in chat there. Drain Spear hype. Rat Tail was beloved Drain Spear, everyone's favorite.
So Scratch has access to some still very easy spots here. Dwarf Castle should be pretty routine right now. Also, the tower key is really easy. The tower boss could vary. But I think Scratch is in a pretty strong position for anything.
Yeah. Tower boss has fairly high HP, fairly low magic and attack. So it's most dangerous when it's a boss like Kainatsu, Dark Knight Cecil, Leviathan, Ogokogo. These bosses, or no, sorry, not those. The last two do damage based on your HP, but Dark Knight and Kainatsu do damage based on their HP.
Personally, would have liked to have done Dwarf Castle first, just for it's faster. So if that happened to yield me the crystal, then I don't have to bother with this.
Right.
This does have 2 item locations instead of just 1.
Yeah, it's a long climb. You can't exit out, you can't out. You just have to back down. It is a pain. But it does get you 2 items. I have not done a I'm pretty sure I've timed how long it takes to get up, but I've not done a expected value calculation. It's hard to do when you don't know how strong the boss is going to be.
Yeah, boss and party composition would be 2 pretty extreme variables on that.
Yeah, there are 2 boss spots at Dwarf Castle. One is medium difficulty, one easy peasy. Both of them would be very easy for Scratch Dragon at this point.
Looks like Scratch Dragon is about to do battle with Rubicant. This Ginzato fight, one of the big things you want to do is get the lit spell off after he gathers the water to disperse it. But when the water is not there, he's actually vulnerable to ice instead. So if you time it right, you're going to lit him, disperse the water, ice 3 him for a ton of damage. Flurry has done the job, and the first of our runners on stream to get past this fight.
Good job, Flurry. Yeah, if you have Thor rages, or Zeus rages, that fight is a lot easier because there's 0 delay from using the item. For Lightning Warp, there's 1 delay. Makes the timing a little bit trickier. That fight in that spot probably takes as much practice as Zero Miss to get it consistent.
Scratch Dragon is through the elements there. I'm a little surprised it took 2 Crystal Sword, which would be great money, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm a little surprised it took that long, because Mylon weak to either Holy or Fire, you should be able to hit him for quite a lot there.
I think Scratch Dragon is for instant cast spells, Virus, which, like, Nuke will do less damage than Fire for casting. I'm not sure which is better.
And this is going to be Pebble Gauntlet.
Oh, that's...
If it was Water Hag, there had only been one of them, so it had to be Pebble.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's a very annoying fight.
It's trivial, but we only have 1 person to attack them, so it still becomes necessary to use spells to do this with any efficiency.
Yeah, and you have numerous enemies. The HP of this spot is split enemies. The spot is normally just 3 Dark M's. I think they have 500 or 600 HP total. So all of the enemies that Scratch Dragon's running into, they could all just be donked. Like, Usoya should be able to kill them with a staff hit. Their HP is so low.
By the way, speaking of, well, you were talking about Usoya, but why are all these runners putting Tella in the middle of the party?
Oh, good question. The game scales agility based on the middle party member, so battles go at a kind of constant rate throughout the game. You know, your agility is constant. You might notice battles stay at the same pace, roughly. It's because it's scaling it to Cecil's speed. If Cecil's not in the party, it scales to the party member. If you put a very slow party member, it makes all of your other characters faster relative to the enemy. There are situations where you might want a faster character, but as a general rule of thumb, slower in the middle is better.
So Flurry has enough money for the adamant armor, but spends it all on Bacchus wines. You honestly don't need that many, though. 5 to 10 is probably going to be enough.
If you've got a party with only one attacker, yeah, that's probably true.
If you were talking about 3 attackers that you want to zerk in a fight, then yeah, okay. 30, 40, 50, very reasonable.
I have definitely needed more than 20 on Zerks before. But
Scratch Dragon through the Fat-Bowl Gauntlet, so we'll find out what this item is upon leaving. And what you have to like for Scratch Dragon is just how many locations they have been able to clear out before anybody else.
Yeah, Scratch Dragon is an utterly amazing player of this game. I think of all the times I've raced him, I've been... yeah, we made it to the absolute finals, the very last race of the Zone League we just finished up. So, yeah, great racer. It's really impressive to watch him play.
I think after this, we have only the Dwarf Castle location left on the Earth that we haven't seen. Other than that, it's going to have to be off of the boom in some fashion.
It's kind of the only way anyone could get a big advantage over Scratch Dragon now. They went straight to the moon right now, but I don't think that's very likely. Scratch Dragon picked up the adamant from that tower fight. Adamant is...
runners participating tonight than just the 4 we have on stream, but of course that's what we see and that's what we're talking about. I would be very surprised if nobody has made the moon play. If you've got the spells with Visoya, if you've got the sirens to get enough levels to make everybody durable enough to get through there, it's a lot of locations, there's no guarantee, but there's value in being the first to do anything.
Poydrak has made it through the horrible Kainatsu spot. So good job, Poydrak.
Flurry also showing that knowledge of these boss fights by using coffins and lives on the, I like to call them the kidnappers. These are the ones who come to get Rydia when she's a kid.
Right, and Flurry showing off other knowledge, which is that these soldiers are worth only a fraction of the HP experience of the officer, and it's probably not even worth life glue.
Yeah, the 3 of them are worth like as much of as experience, so you're still getting 150 experience for that fight. The water hag, you just have to whack it 3 times, but depending on where he's at, he can actually hit quite hard. So he's not one you take for granted, especially with the N2 flag is on. But just in tonight, so all we have to do is hit him.
That was the Calbrana spot. Calbrana has medium attack. For Scratch Dragon's level at this point, though, it's not a threat. Next up is the Golbez spot, and Golbez is a complete joke. And it looks like it's Dark Imps, which are also...
That might be Mylon.
Oh. Right. Let's see.
Nope, you're right. Dark Imps. Oh, no, wait. Mylon with glitch blue there. This is one of those locations where he doesn't show up right, so it can make it think it's something else. But Dark Imps, pretty routine, lower HP with the Golbez spot. Scratch Dragon will have this momentarily.
Yeah, the Golbez spot has a little over 2,000 HP. Scratch Dragon doesn't care. Scratch used Stone, instant killed them all.
Stone is insta-kill when it works. It's just not 100% guarantee.
Right, and also you cannot life glitch with Stone. So it does
well, there has to be a survivor for life glitch. I think you can I'm not sure about that, but I think you could life glitch if one survived.
It won't work because they're not dead, they're stoned. The game just won't let you. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
Learn something new.
I've tried. I wish it would because it would be very useful for moon grinding.
Anyway says...
It only had Tella, because Tella never learns Fatal, but he does learn Stone.
Well, we can get ourselves an Excalibur if we want it.
Which, I mean, its only uses would be to sell, to throw with edge. It's kind of a big chunk of time just for that, for those.
It would also open a shop, but not really worth the shop, I don't think. We already know where Adamant Armors are. I think Scratch Dragon has actually missed the ribbon shop because it was behind the hook.
Oh, right. That's true. The shop that opens in Pokol's Blacksmith on the S2 flag is actually good. It can sell the best equipment in the game and some of the best armor in the game. But on S4, it's going to have the same chance of having good as any other shop, so it's absolutely not worth it.
Poi is following the path of the tower key. We know in Scratch Dragon's case, just by process of elimination, that led back to the moon faster. But there's still a lot for the rest of our runners to do aside from this. That's good damage from Ice 3 even with the wall up.
Chokasur is very close here. Fortunately, Kainatsu heals quite a bit. Kainatsu is weak to ice.
Ice when the water is not gathered, lightning when it is gathered.
Right, so at this current moment, ice, but Kainatsu healed himself enough, he will come out of that shell, water back up, and yeah, there it is. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I think based on the relative speed, you're just talking about chain casting lit through.
Yeah, pretty much.
This is just a case where you really wish you had that adamant arm. Also, hi Agapogo.
Yeah, that was the Pale Dim spot, I believe.
The first one we have access to.
Yeah, where
other
you
than Bahamut. Actually, Scratch did not go to Bahamut.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, there are 6 boss spots on the 5 of them for Subterranean or Lunar Core, and one of them is in Cave Bahamut. The Bahamut spot is a little out of the way. It can take a bit more time to get there than some of these others. If a player decides to go there early, and Crystal's there though, they frequently win big. So it's a difficult decision, just like so. Chokasura has made it 3 times.
Alright, now you can start making progress in the game again. That's going to feel like a victory unto itself.
Indeed.
Oh, looks like Flurry found the magma key. Or no, that was the other way around. Drilling out with Falcon.
Right.
So with Agapogo, you want to do melee damage. You will counter magic. It will be very unpleasant. You can get around that by using wall strats. But
right,
he's just dealing so much damage so fast that the Soy is basically needed in Cure 4 mode.
Yeah, this is...
In fact, this isn't going well at all.
This is a tough fight, no matter where it is. Agapogo is one of the worst bosses in the game.
Oh, it didn't save on the moon!
Oops.
So that's an extra time loss.
About 20 seconds.
Just very unpleasant. It feels like an hour.
Right. Especially when you're racing. No one's not done yet. Come on, get to the moon already.
But right back to the palace, still not the Bahamut spot, and did not save either. Wow.
So probably the next thing to check would be.
I think you go to the other bosses. I think you leave that spot knowing it's one of the worst.
Yeah. Scratch does have the 10 key items, which means it's about 200,000 experience.
Oh, you get a ton from the reuse now.
Yeah, they would give 180,000 if you off correctly. And once again with that Drain Spear hype.
Sora decides to pass on those bosses hanging out with summon monsters.
Sometimes it can be better to wait until you're stronger. Just be going for a save.
Definitely the case. A lot of monsters in these trapped treasure chests, so when you don't need those rewards, it's easy to just walk past them. They can be very time consuming. They can be as hard as bosses in the game quite easily.
Yeah, especially the trap chests with dragons in them are frequently harder than any of the bosses you might. Not so in this case because of some trap chests are more dangerous than fights.
And here goes Scratch Dragon after the reuse. This is where you're really glad to have Edge with his speed, and you're getting those hourglasses off right away.
Goodbye, Edward.
Well, it's not faster, but it is what it is. Oh, not gonna bother with Tella either.
Looks
I
like.
wonder if Tella is at will be pretty low level to be at the right agility, actually. The ideal would be 14.
So we did some testing. Invenerable did some testing recently, and found that actually there's not really much difference between 13 on down. The game just rounds enemies relative speed.
As long as it's below 14, you're saying?
If pretty much anything between 1 and 27 are like decreasing from 27, it gets better and better. And then as soon as you hit 28, that's better than 27. So the whole multiples of 14 thing doesn't really kick in until that agility 28.
The more you know.
Yeah, it turns out it's just Zeromus's relative speed is 1 at anything below 28, and your party just gets faster and faster relative to Zeromus as you get.
So the other interesting thing about what Scratch is doing is there's no chance at getting a double life off. Now, it's not common, but it is possible to get 2 lives used instead of just 1.
Right,
but with
and
just the 3 party members, there's no chance.
That increases the speed of this grind significantly if you can pull it off, but it's difficult to pull off. I've never done it personally, not on King Reaper. I've done it on D machines.
Yeah, I've never done anything of that sort with any consistency, but occasionally, if you're practicing it, you'll stumble into it once in a while.
It's really nice.
The other question is how much magic points you have here, because of course Soya just comes equipped with the standard 190. You could buy Soma drops, we did see them for sale, and expand his magic pool. But if you don't have ethers to restore it, you're probably going to have to use a cabin.
One other option is to siphon away another character's MP. So you could take Edge's. Edge isn't going to be using it. Revive Tella and take his, but there's not a whole lot of MP there to take.
Yeah. And you see the levels just keep on coming. He's into 40s now, I believe.
Yeah,
That
it
went
looks
too
like
fast
he's
for me.
getting Zeromus ready. And once he's Zeromus ready, I'm sure he'll come. But he can beat Ogopogo or any of the other bosses.
So I would presume at this point your line of demarcation is Palom getting nuked.
That would be my cutoff. If you want to do Reflect Strat, then Palom has to have that no other spell does anywhere near as much damage that can be reflected. The only other one that can get there is Meteo, and Meteo can't be reflected.
The other important thing would be making sure Palom can take a full-powered Big Bang, so you want to see 2,000 plus HP. 1,800 is good for most, but not all Big Bangs.
Yeah, that's kind of a bare minimum. It's not really where you want to be.
The other good news is now Palom has weak, so we actually don't need to restore Freeze magic points, at least not right away.
Yep, Fusoya is now the life thrower.
Yep, that worked out very well. All according to the plan, right, Scratch Dragon? Just like you drew it up. So, hey, while we have this going on, let's go ahead and share the links to all of our runners. Hope you'll show them some love as they put on a great show for us tonight.
Yeah, all of these runners are great. A lot of them play on camera with Mike, and they're just really cool to interact with. I highly recommend following them.
Also, big thanks to Maggie the Cat being our tracker tonight. Thank you so much, Maggie. And that tie-dye guy doing our restreaming. It is not the most thankful job in the world. So please do show the love to the restreamers, folks. We need them.
We really do. So, Scratch ready to move.
How do the levels look? I didn't get a look at that. 59 for Blue. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That's probably ready to take on most things.
So the D-Laner boss spot here is the highest chance of guarding 2 potential key items. Being guarded by Rubicante. So Rubicante has 2 gimmicks. One is that he counters all regular attacks with Light Fire 2. The other is that he periodically cloaks himself. He's weak to ice. When he cloaks himself, he absorbs ice. He's still weak to ice weapons. Ice magic will heal him. Scratch Dragon is just nuking him, so
yeah,
worries there.
The non-elemental, it comes out safer. You just don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, a well-timed Ice 3 will unquestionably do max damage to Rubicante here.
Especially a 59 Fusoya, the magic power, which is B.
Yeah, but is it really worth the risk? It doesn't heal for that much, but it is still, it can be difficult to time. There's a large delay on Ice 3.
This is a lot of HP to deal with, though, so if things go wrong and you redo it, I think seeing the speed now, you'd be a little more likely to come back with Ice 3.
Yeah, typically if you cast it right as your Rubicante uncloaks, you'll probably get it off. But using it before that first cloak, it can be really risky.
Well, that glare is wrecking this party.
Yeah, 4k plus damage, it's a guaranteed kill on pretty much any.
Meanwhile, for our other runners, Koi has just done the turn-ins to Yang's wife, Jacksora, has finished off turning in the rat tail. And And the bad news for us is there's only one scenario in which we get music tonight, and boy, is it a trolley one.
Yes, indeed. Have to be Twin Harp here on the moon and Crystal behind Twin Harp because nobody's going to go Twin Harp. You're gonna fold here. I say that, but you know, people make all kinds of risky plays. Someone might find Twin Harp immediately down. So there it is. There's Luka Key and Twin Harp.
I apologize. This is why you don't do math while I'm on Twitch. There's two scenarios. We still have to leave the moon anyways, but well, the crystal has to be behind the Twin Harp to get music. Although you might check that before.
Luka Key, you can check the item before you fight the boss. So even though the dungeon does take a long time to go through, it can still be faster than some other checks, depending on how strong you are and how strong the boss is. I would probably personally check Luka before the Twin Harp.
There's our Mega Sisters. Quake, Nuke, they don't care about Wall. Fire 2, Lit 2 is not going to be that scary here. That's a little bit strong, but...
Yeah, magic power in this spot, definitely not nothing. But for how strong Quake is, and with the HP split across 3 different enemies, I expect Scratch will make short work of this. Flurry has just picked up that Legend Sword, and Fordrak has found her lovely Dream Spear. Her well of disappointment in the Adamant Cave.
And you can still throw that, I believe.
It's true. It actually was quite a bit. Like so many other
points
things.
On a throw, I believe.
What's that?
I haven't done that in a while.
In fact, the speedrun, the vanilla No 64 speedrun, was based around Drain Spear for quite a while. Some faster strats usurped that, but based around duplicating the Drain Spear and throwing the edge.
I really want to see the two sisters go down. There we go. This fight has not gone well, and I think this is one. Well, never mind.
There it is.
I was just gonna say with Fusoya down, and took a long time. Light Sword's not helpful.
Light Sword is, I mean, if you throw it, but yeah. Throwable, if you're going for flex strats, those throwable items can actually be pretty good, because if you're counting damage, you can control how much damage it is doing pretty easily, which is not the case if it's pretty. But if you're not doing a flex strats versus edge with damage most of the time.
Blurry, meanwhile, about to check out this Odin spot. We know from earlier that it is actually the Earth Crystal. So that's probably going to take you on a little bit of a goose chase here, only to find the magma key, and then it's like, why didn't I do this sooner?
Yes, ending in the disappointment that Kangakso was optional.
Well, here's Mob Bomb. Mob Bomb on the moon is very interesting. It hits harder, but that plus 10,000 HP late in the game just doesn't quite matter as much.
Right. So, for those who don't know, Mom Bomb has an extra 10,000 HP, and is on a timer. After you've hit a certain amount of HP, it will have a certain amount of time before it explodes and turns into 6 little bombs. But there's an extra 10,000 HP there if you can take it off. You can skip that. When you're fighting, party's probably strong enough to skip.
Early game, when you add 10,000 to the spot HP, good luck killing it before.
Yeah, you're not. You just sit, you don't even attack. You wait for it to explode.
Well, when you're talking 6,000-7,000 damage hits, that's less significant, and that's why Scratch Dragon kills it in Form 1. And finds an Excalibur, so we've got more throwing material for Edge.
Oh my goodness.
And that means it's either Bahamut or whatever the one was on the other side. That didn't go well.
Ogopogo.
Ogopogo.
Or
Agwapogo is I like to call it.
Lukaki. Those are possible options, aren't they?
Yeah, I've actually exited. Oh, no, wait. We also haven't checked Crystal Sword.
Right. So the Wyvern spot.
Yep.
This is
why you don't count while live on Twitch. Math always betrays you.
This is frequently the easiest boss spot. It always depends on what's here, but Wyvern has a very low magic power. That's why in the vanilla game, you're able to survive that horrible mega nuke that Wyvern throws out.
We have no finishers at this time. We have one runner drop out, and I'm guessing they did not find the magma key. Probably had trouble with the Kenzano spot, which could be very difficult, especially the newer you are.
Yes. I mean,
we saw experience.
I have trouble with that, like, with almost any party.
Alright, Mylon Z, so vulnerable to holy, vulnerable to fire.
Yes, also undead and flying, sort of. So it's that form that Edge is throwing. There isn't actually a flying bit in this game that marks an enemy as flying. There's just weakness to air. So if you are weak to air, you are strong. You are immune to quake. Mylon Z is immune to quake and weak to air, which means thrown weapons, started weapons, arrows, and Edge's boomerangs will do extra damage.
Well, that Avenger Sword would have been nice with a different party composition. Might arrows were also interesting. They might be the best arrows we've seen.
Yeah, Avenger is probably the best sword in the game, but only 2 characters can equip it. Neither in this party.
Scratch Dragon through the Mylon Z fight finds a life staff.
Life staff is the best staff. It is plus 15 to your. If you're doing reflex strats, that's unless you're casting the spell white.
And Scratch Dragon has shown off a lot of knowledge of navigating this by using the warp spell effectively to get back to the Crystal Sword spot, and then using Exit now to get to the one boss on the other side. Flurry has gotten past Odin, sitting in the Magister spot soon to get to whoever was at Vavalas. Was CPU? No.
And
Plague.
Bodrak is...
It was Plague.
That's right. Bodrak is following that path of disappointment to the Magma Key, fortunately. It's a reasonable play, it's just too late.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see the runners maybe do a little divergence, maybe somebody go to the moon, but a lot of similar routing between them. So now Scratch Dragon going for revenge against Agabo.
Yeah, so Ogopogo always a double big wave that does half of your max HP damage to party, and then it alternates between one big wave and 2 big waves.
To answer a question in chat about if Miss Dragon will have it at CPU, eventually, but not today, because we already found Miss Dragon.
Yeah. We knew that particular troll, Miss Dragon, was.
Well, you can cast on Ogo and take the counter, but you could also do wall and not trigger the counter. But then somebody's also going to miss out on Cure Forts.
Right. And that person, unless you have some decent healing items, probably going to die fairly. quickly after those big waves.
This is why there'd be some value, though, in giving Edward decent bow and arrows, because you could berserk him here and just have attack-on damage. Let's find out what we got here. Is this the crystal, or do we have to go back? It's the spoon.
Okay, Scratch, come on, give the people what they want. Give us music.
2 options remain. One is to follow the Twin Harp. The other is follow the Luca key.
Has Scratch checked Bahamut yet?
You're right. 3 options.
3 options. Still. Come on.
Technically, you should check Bahamut before you go back to the moon.
I would absolutely check Bahamut.
Go back to the Earth on the moon. But you'd hate to go back to the Earth, find both spots blank, come back to the moon, and then it's Bahamut.
Yeah, exactly. That's just the worst feeling. And if you were going to do the Twin Harp play, then you probably should have done it as soon as you found it.
Alright, so we have one of the runner drop out, but we have our first place finisher tonight, which is Silver Star, finished with a time of 1:25:13, so about 2 minutes ago.
Congrats, Silver Star. Also, welcome to chat.
Indeed, well done. We're about to get our first look at the Bahamut spot, which is Antlion. Ugly spot, but better news than you might think. Because the counter is just going to be irrelevant.
Yeah, it's hard though. I would say priority get those moonveils up on someone, anyone.
Yeah, if you throw a moonveil on edge, you win.
The spot doesn't have a whole lot of HPs. Rounds of nukes from our mages here should do it, as long as they do not get clocked in the face, like Edge just did.
Also will not counterattack the spells, so this is a great time for nuke.
Goodbye, Tella. Oh, wow. Getting really lucky on who's getting covered here.
Should be close to the end.
These 2 nukes should do it for sure.
And there it is.
We got
also have our second place finisher, and the Pew Pew Spear. It makes fun noises when you use it.
So,
however, it's not going to be used by us today.
So the moon was required. Only 1 spot. The D-Lunar spot. Every other boss spot was
Spoon.
That's true. Spoon
I mean, we've got great material for throwing. We've got a white spear. We've got, I think, 2 Excaliburs and a spoon.
Could use those on these boss fights. Up to 0 move.
Yeah, this would have been a good spot for a spoon, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the 10k damage versus Berserk over a long fight, it's really not that much difference, because you're talking about probably 2 attack turns with Berserk. You could do 5,000 damage pretty easily, so 4,000 damage-ish. So it's not a lot.
Scratch Dragon has chosen to not give us what we want. We are going
Feel free to boo in chat. This does make sense, though, because what you do is, especially if he saved outside Toria, if you don't have the item you want, you can just reset. So,
yeah,
in this case, save at Toria, then fly down here, check the item.
Yeah, that's why I think this is probably the better spot to check first. Chokasura is clearing out those moon bosses in the subterranean. Flurry went straight for that comet spot.
Using Illusion, which is also a good strat here. It will prevent those physical hits, and it is not counter that'll get you. That's very annoying early, but late game, it's just pitiful damage.
Yeah, those physical hits right here. Unbelievable. I just noticed that Chokasura still only has 4 characters.
Well, hey. Sometimes all you need is 1. Say that to everyone. Maybe he's just gone out deliberately out of his way to not get Edward.
Yeah, right? I mean, could conceivably slingshot Edward. But I don't think it'll be worth it. Chokasura will have the levels he needs after he clears the moon, most likely.
Ah,
there it is.
Not what I was hoping for.
Yeah, no music today. Well, not from Scratch Dragon anyway. We'll see what these other players do. Because they're all going to have to go back to the planet and check either Luca or them. This boss spot has very high speed and very low everything else, so this should be fairly tricky, right?
Remember that his Tella and Edward just have no levels, so what you see done to them is just not applicable to anybody else. And this is not going that well for Flurry, actually. Flurry's at lower levels with everybody.
But moving up, though?
Fleur doesn't have Nuke with Palom at that level.
Right, that's true.
But gets through!
Alright, good job, Flurry.
Made it happen. That's why it's tough to give up on any fight. Because if you pull it out, it's that much faster than going all the way back through.
Yeah, clutch fights like that are so much fun to watch.
This is very interesting. What is Portrait looking for here?
Dragon's
Gotta be
doing
D-Machines. Okay. D-Machines to set up going to the moon, I suppose.
Yeah, and it's not a bad play at all. It's just Scratch chose Ryu's, Quadrak is doing the D-Machine. If the crystal
one
were on
hesitation would be this is pretty late in the game to be going into a grind fight.
If the crystal were on them, then King Ryu's would probably be faster because once you get to where they are, ready there on the moon, let's fight straight down. Since we know the crystal is not on the moon, then it's not going to make much difference either way. This will probably be slightly faster. It's also easier to grind a lot if you are doing the machine. You really want to punch your characters in the stratosphere, and it looks like Quadrak is a slingshot on Edward. This is how you have to do it. Scratch is heading to Zeromus.
So much faster with the pass. You'd be better off walking if you're already on the moon, of course, but versus taking the lunar whale back to the moon, walking all the way down there, and not having the save point if you need to reset. Definitely faster with the pass.
I'm not expecting Scratch to have too much trouble. This party is high level, fairly well equipped. Certainly not the best equipped.
Just to recap, we do have our first 2 finishers done again. Silver Star was the first place finisher. Zilch has also completed it. That was at 127. So Scratch fighting for 3rd here. And this was just a 17 out of 17. Oh, actually, we didn't see the pink tail, so that must have been what was behind the Twin Harp.
Yep.
So it was a 16 out of 17 seed.
If anyone does decide to give us me, then that person's going to have a nice advantage going to Zeromus.
We haven't seen any of these runners go back for purchasing that adamant armor. I don't know if Scratch actually had enough money. I would think so after the reuse. The day machines are actually pretty good money in addition to the experience, so Poitrak will most likely have enough money for an adamant armor after this, if they so choose.
Right.
By no means required, but it can make somebody more doable. Who do we have in places around us today? It was Waldo all along.
Waldo, curse you!
He's a little bit easier to find when he's the only sprite on the stream. Question, chat, about buying adamant armors. When it's S4, they are possible to purchase. They just have to be in a shop, and they were today.
I believe they were in Agert. They are quite expensive. 500,000?
Yeah.
It's T3S4 today.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the strategy when you are doing reflex strats. Nuke will do its damage without causing the counterattack from Wilderness. He's getting the counter nuke from using Silk Web, which is great for lowering the speed. And it will nerf the Big Bang.
Right, so Zeromus casts nuke and counter to most spells. Before he does that, he lowers his magic power. Otherwise, the nuke would be a guaranteed kill. I guess the developers didn't do that. If you do that before Big Bang, if you do it before the Big Bang, it will make the Big Bang weaker. And after that first one, it actually requires some special timing to pull it off.
The timing's not crazy as long as your speed is good against Zeromus. You're watching for the shake and you want to put the slow on after that. It's considerably easier when you have Silk Webs versus having to cast.
Yeah,
so now is when you want to do it.
Right. The more delay there is with your spell, it's going to be to correctly. Items are always instant casts. Scratch is doing reflex strats here, so the spells bypass that counter nuke and they're bounced off of it. But also, Zeromus is kind of curious. The amount of memory they allocated, HP, caps at 65,500, whatever. And so Zeromus actually only has 6,000 HP. If you do any direct damage to him at when he's at 15,000 HP, gets a complete HP refill. You can bypass it completely with countered spells. It is a counter attack, and therefore reflected spells don't trigger it. So if you do these reflex strats, Zeromus only 60.
That was a full power Big Bang because nothing was done to nerf it. But that's because Scratch is counting the damage and doesn't want to do anything, and should probably only take the one fat Big Bang, which is the second of the fight.
Yeah, probably doesn't even have to heal up very much. One or two more nukes should do it at this point.
Yeah, Scratch would absolutely heal for Soya if there was any concern, but there it is. So GG.
All right.
Scratch Dragon.
Congrats,
That
Scratch
is going to be
Dragon.
good for third.
Third place, official time of 1 hour 40 minutes seconds.
And we'll see if Scratch wants to join us. And hopefully we'll... Hope everybody is having a wonderful evening tonight. We get a great chance to enjoy some free Enterprise tonight. please show the love to our runners who gave us such a good show.
Yeah. All these runners are great to watch, great to talk to. Give them all a follow. They have earned it.
Everyone else working through this seed. So the path as we now know it is you gotta go to the double treasure room, take the Luca key back to the subworld, and then turn that into the crystal.
So Chokasura attempting this Conte fight here. Conte is in fact guarding the ultimate path to the crystal, so that is a required fight. It looks like he's probably going to try to get a few more levels before attempting it again.
When all you have is Edward versus Antlion, something has gone wrong.
Yeah, with these moon boss spots, they all have just such absurdly high attack.
And we now have our Scratch Dragon joining us in the channel. GG to you.
GG, guys.
So the biggest difference we saw from you versus any of our other runners on stream, you went and you took care of business at Odin's spot. Tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, I saw it was Pale Dim, and I immediately said to myself, I have Moon Veils, I can do this fight, it's easy. So that's what I did. The only thing I was kind of iffy on was I didn't remember if he absorbed Meteor or not. And then I just committed from there to do the overworld, and then, well, the rest is history.
That play really paid off for you. Other runners, not just the people streaming we know, have been struggling with the Kainosa fight. This is apparently a very frustrating for several people.
Yeah, it's not too nice. If I ended up having to go and fight him there, I probably would have just went to the moon and did some grinding, since Weak was available, and Weak, Sirens, and Hourglasses were available, so I probably would have just saw it, turned around, and then just started doing the moon, to be honest. But I got lucky with the Magma Key being an Earth Crystal spot.
Yeah, it's fairly unusual on a K2, both Hook and Magma to be available like that. So you took that chance in Odin, it really paid off.
I mean, the only thing that could have happened was it would have been like just the end of the race. So yeah, it was just one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
This is one that really had to lend itself to full clearing the moon. But remind me, did the first time against the Ogopogo went wrong?
Yeah,
Go back to
Ogopogo went wrong the first time, and I just abandoned that and said I'll just dive into the regular spots and grind up, because Ogopogo is not a very nice boss at all.
No, definitely not.
So then I found everything I wanted minus the crystal, which, I mean, you know where it is. So I mean, I have to go back and ask Silver Star and Zilch what they did, if they just abandoned doing the rest of the moon once they found Luca and Twin Harp.
Let's see, Silver Star is in chat right now, but
Yeah, it begged the question to me, the biggest routing divergence you could have taken in this one would have been level up and go for the moon spots before dealing with the rest of the world. So tell us a little bit about your decision-making process. How do you decide where to go when you have options?
I hate diving moon. Moon has betrayed me so many times. If you guys remember in the Final Four race, the moon betrayed me then too.
Mm.
But I mean, for a spot that has so many hard bosses and so many key items, it's always attractive, but I mean, it just always feels like the crystal is never there. So I typically want to just finish up doing the Earth first. The only thing I skipped on Earth would have been Twin Harp and Ordeals. And at that point, if I just didn't do Ordeals from the beginning of the game when I had Fusoya, I just wasn't going to do Ordeals at all. And if the crystal was there, the crystal was there, and I would have just lost. Sometimes you just have to weigh your options and then just decide from that point, okay, am I going to just skip it and just resign myself to the fact that I can lose and make it an 18 for 18 seed, or am I just going to keep moving on and hopefully run into it? So
Right. Yeah, you have to make those decisions and commit, because if you don't, you're pretty much giving up that first place spot to one who made the right routing choices and stuck with them.
I mean, at some point you weigh really, all right, what can I cut in order to beat the upper tier racers if you're going into a race like this. I mean, and to be honest, this was a brutal seed if you didn't decide to do Paladin. It was just, sure, you could run into the Kenazo in the Ruby spot, which I saw when I did Tower, but I mean, that's just not a nice fight. I can understand if like some of our newer racers decided that this was a little bit too much, which I saw a couple of them said nope.
Yeah.
Quick update, Chakasura just picked up Luca Key and Twin Harp, so now we know has the right path, but a few more bosses to deal with likely before going back to Earth.
Yeah, unless he makes that gamble.
Yeah, that's really the rough thing when you find two key items that lead to other key items. Do you just immediately abandon doing what you're doing up there, or do you just go? You typically have to finish it. By the numbers, you have to finish it because you don't want to go back to Moon.
So one of the interesting things about the Moon here is we're probably at the point where you could afford an adamant armor, but nobody's gone back and purchased one.
Oh, where were the adamant armors? I probably completely skipped it.
I think they were in Aggregate.
Yeah, I think that's correct. And ribbons were in Evelyn Cave.
Okay, so neither of those were. I mean, the adamant armor would have been nice, but other than that, when I found sirens, coffins, and hourglasses, lights, and cabins, I said, all right, I don't need to shop anymore. And then I obviously had the two mages, so I just said, all right, reflex strats. There's no reason to buy like a surplus of other items.
Yeah, having that stack of fails early, I think, paid off a lot.
Oh yeah, moon veils are quite a strong item. Besides the fact that it gives you wall, making you invulnerable to physical attacks is just a godsend for some of these bosses.
Yeah. So you have any further thoughts about this seed?
I hate the fact that Waldo was at the end of it. It was basically taunting me to where was the crystal.
And isn't that what we really want around this right then? To taunt the runner?
I mean, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I bet you when you saw him, you were there like, well, the irony is thick here. The irony is so thick. Well,
No,
Waldo,
he's pretty easy to spot when he's the only one on the screen.
well, that's fine. I knew exactly where his neck was, and it was all clean for me to come and take it the first time instead of dying to him.
Well, Scratch, you put on a great show. Such an amazing this game. So thank you very much.
Thank you guys for hosting us, and just as a final thought to everyone who may be watching, play this game. The World Series of Free Enterprise is coming up, so come and play. Every flag apparently is fair game, so you guys have plenty of time between now and I think River said after GDQ, we were gonna probably start organizing it. So start playing, come play in the tournament. It's a ton of fun and just as frustrating, but we still love it.
You got to challenge yourself once in a while. That's how you grow as a Zero.
Yeah.
You can't always do easy things.
Right. That and all the Zeromus sprites. You can play this a billion times over and have a billion different Zeromus sprites and say, hey. Actually, I think that was my third time with Waldo.
Yeah, I think there are currently 250 or more.
Yeah, we just had a new one debut at the end of the Highway to the Zeromus Zone.
That's right.
Stupid jerk.
Training version of Zeromus himself.
That'll be it for me.
Ruby. All right, thanks, Scratch Dragon. You have a great night.
Yeah,
You guys have a good night too.
This Rubicon fight's been given Flurry the business, but finally one more Ice 3 from Palom is good enough for max damage and good enough to win the fight.
Yeah, and Chokusur has made it back down to the planet here. He's got that
No, going for the Luca key. What is this?
It's the right play. I mean, not just because the crystal is actually there, but you don't have to sit through a cutscene and fight the boss. It's the right play. Unfortunate though that may be for us viewers.
Yeah, well, I will say in a casual run, you'd absolutely go to the Twin Harp anyways. The other thing is, we know that's Pinktail worth an adamant armor, so in a casual run, that would be an easy play if you're just doing it for yourself. In a race situation, you got to make the right play.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is Flurry's final moon boss, so should be on the path back to the crystals soon. I will be back in just one moment.
Okay. We have Podrak heading to that wyvern spot. You feel this kind of empathy for the player. You're watching them go through the sealed cave. You know at the end of this that it's going to have the crystal. And this is a really kind of defeating spot after all of that work to find the crystal down here. It turned out that the underground was necessary, but that magma key could have gotten faster, although it looks like Chokusura never got the magma key. So I guess he doesn't have to feel that horrible disappointment that the Kanyatsu fight was completely useless.
Good news, bad news. It's worse news when you find out after the fact.
But that Odin spot is hard. Like, taking that on with an early game party is super easy. It turned out that Moon Veils could have gotten you through.
There's several bosses where those Moon Veils are just making all the difference, like Karate with Moon Veils. It's trivial. Pale Nim is one of those. Just anything that's going to hit you, if you could throw a Moon Veil up, it's over.
Yeah.
Some things will depend on your speed.
Yeah, and it's also really easy to forget that Odin spot. I can't count the number of times I've forgotten it. Sometimes I will specifically make the decision to go to Baron. Hey, this opens up 2 key item spots. I should do this right now. And then I'll just walk away, fly away, go somewhere else.
Exit will not work in here, so you have to use warp if you want to go out floor by floor. That is what Chokusura is working on at the moment. When Scratch Dragon was in here, mentioned GDQ. If you be aware of this, we will actually have free enterprise racing at GDQ. It should be pretty hype, so hope you'll check it out when that rolls around.
Yeah, that's right. Really excited for that. it looks like, you know, we have awesome runners playing. It looks like we're gonna have awesome couch commentary as well. But of course we would. Yeah, definitely watch that one. Is the schedule up yet? I don't think it is.
I don't think it'll be till much closer.
All the accepted games are up, but the schedule not yet.
Yeah, they still got a few months with it. And it looks like Jacksora is going to get levels from the Sirens.
Yep, quick egg grind. Shouldn't need too many more levels. Palom needs.
Yeah, Palom, you want over 2,000 HP.
Yeah, and Chokasura, because he decided not to get Edward, might actually have a slightly more difficult Zeromus fight here, surprisingly. Just because having one extra character can use some like attack buffers. It's also one character you can throw reflects on.
One less person to use items is gonna slow you down.
Yeah. You can put a reflect on Edward, and then it doesn't matter that, you know, you're going to do a cure 4 after the first big bang. It doesn't matter. It doesn't heal Edward. Care. You just know he's die next. You can also hide him, have him pop out, life potion. He's not useless.
Well, this was a seed where you could have actually made very good use of Edward, but it's an investment of time. Are you willing to make it? You'd have to chase down the specific resources for him.
Mm-hmm.
He can use items well, so anytime there's that. But definitely could have gotten him bow and arrows and done reasonable.
Yeah.
He could have been doing 1,000 damage around against Zeromus, but you really wouldn't care there. You're better off with the reflect strats.
Yeah, I believe Quadrak did slingshot Edward. Without the right equipment, he still just kind of lies on the ground most of the time.
Swimmy. I think Jacksora's gonna do it. I'm sorry, this is just set up for the pass. My bad. I'm sorry if I raised any hopes falsely. My hopes are false.
And Flurry has also decided to take on the cave, so Quadrak now has the necessary items to get the crystal. Does he ditch the moon?
And nobody given us the music tonight. But everybody has really, other than Scratch Dragon, everybody seemed to be really on the same wavelength that night. They all kind of went in the same direction.
Yeah, and aside from that Odin spot and the potential to have taken on some bosses early, it's a fairly linear seed. And actually, after seeing all of the bosses, we know that none of them. So back when you have the option of trying to go underground or come up here and see if you can these bosses, we now know at that time you're not going to these bosses. So yeah, fairly linear seed, kind of locked into one path.
Now Flurry is going to pick up the crystal as Jacksora is going to end this fight. Gonna be interesting to see with just the 4 party members how much difference that makes. The Scratch though wasn't making much use of Edward anyways.
Yeah. It should make Zeromus, he might seem a little bit faster and lose some small amount of functionality. It shouldn't make that big of a difference.
It's interesting, the parry there seems to be set up a specific turn order, or is this a turn order check?
I'm not sure. Might want. Oh, that's it. He wants to get Starveils on edge. And with Tella in the center there, with agility that low, it goes in part. Tella, Fusoya, Palom, edge, then the 5th spot.
We need to keep searching. We know where Waldo is now. Scratch reordered spells to put Nuke in the first spot. I'm very much a fan of that. I'll always reorder spells to be in a logical order for me that makes them really easy to do. And actually, Checkstore did do that with Palom.
I forget to do it very frequently, but it's a good idea.
Oh, that's just nice.
That's exactly.
The counter nuke hit the wall.
That is the best.
Looks like the speed's not as good relatively for Chakasora. That Big Bang came out pretty quick.
Yeah.
And for more damage, so down goes Tella.
Yeah, and then Chokesar also didn't have a Silk Web to throw, just cast a normal slow.
Oh, I think you're right.
And
the Silk Web is slow times 2, not just 1, by the way.
Right, and if you have Zeromus at relative speed, which he almost certainly is with this extremely low agility Tele center, you have to get 2 slows up to actually make any difference. So just that one will not actually have changed Zeromus' speed. But it did nerf that first Big Bang, so not pointless.
My ideal fights, I like to bring the Zerk strats in here, so Cecil, Edge, and one more melee person and berserk them. So slow is a big part of that strat because you get more turns off relatively and makes it a lot safer. In other words, there's several different ways you can approach this Ramos fight.
Oh, there's so many.
Find out more, join us in the Discord.
Yes, please. We're a growing community, and we are an awesome community. Love our community. One big advantage to rearranging spells in your menu. It's a little subtle, but you notice it if you play a lot, is menu lag. Especially when Zeromus is casting bangs, your cursor moves in your menu so slowly.
I don't like how that was going for Chakasura, neither does Chakasura, who does the reset.
The only real way he could have saved that, fortunately, is like if he had maybe an Elixir or a Cure 3, he could have run buffered out of the menu. And that might have been enough to get the heal off, but then you're stuck with Fusoya alive, no one else. It's not a good situation.
Yeah, I really think the biggest difference between those was getting off the slows that Scratch Dragon did. You're just talking about significant improvement in what you're able to accomplish in between Z checking off those big bangs on you.
2 slows will make an enemy half as fast. If Zeromus is at relative speed 1, will take his relative speed to 2. That's big. It's much bigger than you might think if you haven't played this game.
Also, Chakasura was definitely throwing things with Edge instead of using Zerg. I kind of like that with the 4 people, actually, because you want Palom and Fusoya free to move. So if they're going to do that, Edge kind of needs to be available to use items in between.
Yeah, it also gives you a lot more control of how much damage you're doing, especially if you can count damage quickly. It can be difficult to do, but if you can count the damage you're doing to Zeromus, you can sort of dart things at him freely until you've done close to 40,000 damage, and then you can play it safe and switch to only reflected spell. If you're berserked, you don't have that control. The best thing you can do is either hope for a black hole to dispel the berserk in time, or kill off Edge.
So the other thing, throw in just for the price of admission, Xora is waiting to use that Star Veil. If you use it too soon before transforming Ramos, it'll actually go away. You get black holes effectively, so You have to transform him before that stuff will stick. But if you do it slightly before, basically before he does a shake, you'll be fine.
Right, the shake's essentially a spell, and Zeromus's transformation is also basically a spell. So, if you put Berserk on or that stuff, or you use the crystal, you're just gonna. You can queue up the item though after you've used the crystal. Another tricky thing is that Zeromus, you have to wait a bit before you can actually hit him. The previous Zeromus, there are actually two enemies. There's the previous Zeromus, and then the transformed. And the amount of time it takes for you to actually be able to target the correct Zeromus is surprisingly high. It's a few seconds after the sprite and changed.
The first thing I suggest people look for is the name. It's not immediately after the name change. You've still got a beat there, but do not try to use a spell, throw an item before the name change.
No, you will lose it to the void. Especially don't dart the spoon. That's like most heartbreaking.
Yeah, if you're going to dart something, do something low value on that first one, because it doesn't matter. If you use the spoon in 3 turns instead of 2, it's still the same amount of damage. So
oh no!
use something lower tier for the safety. This is a little rough, but
This is extremely rough. Oh.
it's enough! Shakasura is done in
Shakasura.
one place.
Oh my goodness, I was not counting that HP. Chokosura must have been counting now. Oh wow. GG Chokosura, that was beautiful.
Yeah, that just goes to show some of the strategies that people will play. I'm not an HP counter particularly, but people who do the reflex tracks especially are usually up on their counting.
Yeah. There are some tricks to do it quickly, even if you're very fast counter. I'm not. I use it in the vanilla speedrun because this fight is extremely risky and the speed the most modern strats.
Oh wow, right behind Chakasura, Riker is done in 5th place.
Yeah.
A minute apart, basically.
Really, GG Chokosura there. There are a large number of racers in this particular race, and this was a really difficult seed, as we saw. So, really impressive display.
And now
Flurry's
Flurry is
just-
going
yeah.
to get into this fight with the full party.
Oh, Trenton, do you see what I see?
Oh yes, the boy is going to give us the music.
Finally.
We just found out from Riker that there was a wipe against Ramos, so had to redo the fight. Thanks so much, that tie-dye guy who has done a fantastic job as a restreamer tonight and has already switched this over to be ready for us. Mechalink just finishes in the 6th spot, and when we get here, I have a standing rule to go ahead and let the song play a little bit so we get to enjoy what we have. Do have to get through first phase of Dark Elf. If you have metal equipped, everybody will be down already. Apparently, only Edge does. You can also kill yourself off.
Right. Well, while we're watching this Horse Death play out, bit of advice for new runners. Do not try to wipe yourself out with a party-wide virus, because you're going to put SAP status on everyone. And then you're going to get the HP ran out message on everyone. Spend more time on the screen. Because in battles where messages appear top of the screen, like the Dark Elf fight, they stay up there longer. So Um, just a random tidbit of something I learned. That's Neonic stuff?
I'm not sure. One of the wonderful extras that Boardface introduced with this randomizer, we get not only random sprites, but the random music at the heart.
I'm not totally positive. I think it's... Oh, it's Lufia too.
It's a fun game. I need to finish it one of these days. Also, Chakasora has joined us now. GG.
Oh, thank you.
Congrats. That was an impressive run.
What was that seed? You know what?
It was hard.
It was a
wasn't
required
That seed was harder than it.
Fluky.
That seed was harder than it would. You know, I had trouble with pretty much all 4 elements tonight. Valvulus, I just had to, be patient with her. But first
Right.
Knazo gave me a hard time, and then Rubicant gave me a hard time. I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah, this one is pretty rough. I think, I don't know if you noticed in the Discord, but at least one person dropped out. And I do not blame them. That is,
I don't blame them either.
like,
He
that
becomes
is
our
absolutely-
first runner who picks up the pink tail after finishing Dark Elf, and now has a pretty good idea where to go to get the crystal, because there's only one spot left.
I have a question. Were there any life pots? Because I could have sworn I did not see any.
Yes, they were in one of the loaded item shops. It had the moon veils and pipes and cure 3s. There were 4 things in one item shop.
I did see moon veils.
I could be wrong.
I'm trying to remember what shop that was.
Yeah, I can't remember. There was a lot of shopping, at least at the very beginning.
Yeah, because that's probably half the reason why I struggled, is because I didn't have any life pots.
Yeah.
Chat thinks they're Agart, and I could understand where that would be an easy one to overlook.
Agate.
Right.
Should I check this shop?
Quadrak just went to Agard, and they're life
There's
potions.
Summit drops, exits, silk webs, cure 3s, lives. Like I said, 3 items.
Wow.
That's a long list, but certainly 3 items of note.
I'm trying to remember, did I check that shop and just overlook them? I must have.
Well, never had the magma keys, so they never would go there other than the shops.
Right.
I think that's also where the adamant armors were for sale.
I believe so.
Is that right?
They were out there, you just needed the bargain price of
Wow.
500k.
Agate. You know, if I would have seen those adamant armors, I would have probably did a couple of pink puff fights. Probably. But, yeah.
Right. Yeah, the pink puffs do give a lot of money. I always forget that.
Yeah.
Real quick, we have Greister done in the 7th place, 213.50. Also, if I missed this, Mechalink finished in 6th. So a lot
So-
more runners have wrapping up near each other, which kind of makes sense if you had to go through the full progression of this seed.
Right. So Chokosura, you never found the magma key.
Where was it?
It had to do the Odin spot, which was Pale Den, get the Earth
Oh.
Crystal, and then it was behind the Earth Crystal.
So it was actually open.
To be honest, I completely forgot about that spot after struggling on the moon so much.
It's really easy to forget.
Yeah,
And
I was,
GG to Flurry, who was not having the easiest fight here, stuck with it, got the job done, finished in 8th place, 215.19.
Nice job, Flurry.
So, Checkster, anything else about this one stand out to you?
Well, I mean, besides the fact that I played pretty terribly in certain spots, and the fact
This
that I
was a
couldn't.
hard scene. Give yourself
It
a break.
was. I did not expect to be. This was what, T3S4?
That's right.
I did not expect it to be that difficult.
Yeah, you don't
Alright.
think S4 is going to be that hard. Saying at the beginning that, well, I was wrong.
But I mean, Fu, Edge, and Palom were pretty much enough. I was just hoping for, you know, someone other than Tella, which didn't really add much. And I never found Edward.
Let's
I don't
see.
think I did.
Could have gotten him from the Earth Crystal or Sand Ruby.
Oh, okay. I think I did check Kaipo at one point.
Yeah. We thought you just were intentionally taking a pass on him.
Yeah.
And there is the crystal for Poitrak, who now just has to get by Yang. Having some
To
fun,
be
doing
honest,
a
I
little
don't
Pasoya
think-
dance.
I don't think Edward would have helped me out much anyway.
Well, what do you think, Flurry? Did Edward help out? Also,
Oh, well, surprisingly, he was an anchor. I somehow finished with having 28 agility, so that kind
Perfect.
of never happened. But, oh, Mondays, you never let me down. Oh, Foo starts. Oh, there's Edge. Oh, this is going to be great. Oh, there's Edwards in the bed. All right, well, it can't be that much worse. Oh, Tella. All right, well, this is doable. Oh, look, Kenazo, please go away.
Okay, Nazo. Oh.
I'm
yeah.
guessing that top scores, like that seed almost encouraged you to go to the moon first. Because you had, if you grinded out Fu a little bit and got his spells up, you had weak, and you could have done D Machine right off the bat. It made sense to check out the moon bosses if any of them were doable. And right play. I do wonder if anybody actually did that.
Saw at least one of our runners do a small grind going into a lot of places. Not D Machine, but we saw a few King Ryus taken out.
Yeah. I was pretty happy with getting that done on like only the 4th try. that like can be just such a nightmare.
Was that the Kenzano?
Yeah, the Kenazo fight. But everything else was relatively smooth. Like having a tower was kind of butts, you know. Like they have 50 HP each, and they're all going to get a turn. Enjoy this.
Yeah, that's an annoying spot. Well, are there any non-annoying spots for it? I guess
The Twin Harp.
spots. Miss
The Twin
Dragon.
Harp.
Yeah, basically, like our the Kaipo fight, because then you don't have to fight them.
Yeah,
That's why I like to see them.
those are the ideas.
The Kenazo hook seed 215 for almost full clearing. That's really not that bad, I think. So.
This was an incredibly difficult scene. The party seemed so strong. There were some serious challenges this party.
Thank goodness for Moonveils. Like getting to know that you had what the 5 were early on kind of helped me. Granted, I probably sold the White Spear when I should have just used it to dart on Kenazo. Would have helped a bit, but I could afford more Moonveils, and there were at least like 4 or 5 bosses where Moonveil, Fu, and Palom just carried the day.
Yeah, just saved the day. So what did you think after you finished that chain for the Oath spot, which led to Earth Crystal to Magma Key?
You know, that's rando's gonna rando, man. That's just how that goes sometimes. Going to the moon sitting in my head pretty much from the beginning of the seed, and told myself, you know what, just getting through Kenazo, like if it's down here, that's such an obstacle. and there were a lot of free fights down below that I felt like that was the more efficient play at the time. But sometimes it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And welcome to our Raiders joining us from Randomizer.
I got a hockey game I'm late to. So thanks for commentating, guys. Appreciate the restream.
Yeah, we appreciate your play. Have a good night.
And we're about to see Poitrak go into this, so if Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise is new to you, we fight the same boss, however, not necessarily the same appearance. So, let's play a game. Spot the final boss, wherever they may be. This might be difficult, but I think you all can do it.
All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna sign off. I'm tired.
All right, check sorry.
It seemed like a dream.
All right.
Thanks so much for letting us restream. Good night.
You too. Good night.
And please show the love to our runners who agree to have every decision they make second guessed by the public. Everything you do is seen by everybody. I like this, queuing up the Cure 3 to be ready for the counter nuke. When you're in the item menu, it doesn't advance the ATB. Wow, the speed. Something's a little off here.
Well,
it doesn't advance the timer, but the counter nuke is going to happen anyway. So by having that Cure 3 queued up, he was ready for the counterattack.
Guard the spoon off. Now it's now it's dealing with that speed. That is one of the really nice things about a nerf Big Bang. Tella can actually heal your party from it. Somewhat.
His cures aren't going to be that powerful necessarily overall, but what makes him very functional for most of the game is that Cure 4 doesn't care. So as long as you're only healing one person, you go to full life.
Yeah. But Tella has served his purpose and is now going to take him.
Well, he's earned a rest.
Indeed.
But he's actually quite capable of being a utility white mage in particular, because he's gonna go in there with slow, with wall. He can do things.
Berserk as well. I've had I've had a seed where I had Tella and a fighter, and the fighter berserked, kept going into black hole, res Tella, berserk, repeat. So yeah, you can find uses for him, even in this fight where he is going to die. Sometimes even to totally nerfed Big Bangs.
Right, so this is a reflected nuke. It wouldn't count anyways for nerfing, but we saw the shake from Zeramus, so this is the time where you can nerf that Big Bang if you hit him directly. However, when you do that, you're risking the HP refill, as you talked about earlier, so they just kind of commit to eating this one.
Yeah, and you're going to get that counter nuke, which, if it hits Edge, who has Reflect Up, then fantastic. If it hits anyone else, not good. That person's going to die from the Big Bang for sure.
I think it's the first time we saw that get off tonight.
So Zeramus has 4 phases. The first phase is just, shake, Big Bang, and then move to the next phase. The next phase, he occasionally virus in between all the Big Bangs and black holes, and the third phase, he is nuke in between some of those Big Bangs. So in the final phase, he just casts Meteor. If you see Zeroma cast nuke, you have triggered the HP refill. If You see Zeroma's cast virus, you're still.
But has healed up well here. Good progress. Usually the time you see that second big bang, as long as your damage rolls have been good, you know you're on base. And there it is. So Poitrak is ninth place.
That was a perfect fight, really. That went extremely well. Good job.
Yeah, I think Poitrak took the time to level up more than most of our other runners. You see Edge's HP was the highest we saw, and certainly with Tella as well.
Yeah, it's really nice when your party can survive bangs.
So we should see Poitrak coming to join us here soon. We'll get a brief interview in and try and find everybody a good place to go tonight. Hope you have enjoyed a wonderful display of the free enterprise randomizer. There's so much more than what we were able to show off just tonight. Hope you join us in the Discord to see more. Also, plenty of races. We're here on Randomizer night, showing off a variety of flags. There's also a Friday night community race.
Yeah, so 2 community races a week, hosted by Steam and Randomania. Join them. They're fun. You do not have to be a pro.
Now, what matters most is that you're gonna have fun with it.
Yeah, lots of
You'll
people
probably
make
find something to your liking.
this race.
Nitz Guy just finished up in the 10th spot.